Hello everyone and welcome to another live with Scratch Magazine. I'm Helena Biggs and I'm joined by the fabulous Katie Barnes. Hi Katie.
Hello. Hi.
Welcome to our channel and thank you very much for joining us. It's Friday and I think everyone's just in the mood for a bit of a weekend boost, I think, as well. And I think today we just wanted to talk about, well, you've been very, very successful in your own right. You're multi-award winning. I'm not even going to start with listing some of the awards that you've won because we'll be here until next Friday probably. But with all the experience you've had in your time in the nail industry, you've been a salon owner, you're an educator, you're an award-winning nail stylist, and you've also got your own range of tools. You've got a wealth of experience and you've built your name with that experience into a brand in its own right. And I think what I've seen, and I don't know if you have as well, but throughout lockdown, so many nail professionals have turned to creating their own brand to try and gain some revenue. So sort of retail products, things like that. So it'll be great to hear some advice from you to other people about what to consider when developing and growing a brand, and also how to protect that as well. So I think we'll kick off with what's been your journey into creating the Katie Barnes brand?
So the journey into creating it, so where it started was I, alongside the education, I provided my students nail kits. And they were from particular brands, my favourite brands. But then there was always other bits and bobs that students wanted to buy on the side, like additions to go with that. So I did stock those from various brands. And from competing, I do all sorts of weird and wonderful things to tools. So I would tweak them, and I would file cuticle pushers because the ones I could buy were never sharp enough. There was the cutting of the nail file and sticking it on the dowels. And I just wanted to then develop something that was already made like that. So techs didn't have to then spend that time and faff doing it. And from educating, and for myself being a left-handed nail tech, I was able to see the difficulties that techs had with tools. So I've always been a fan of scissors. I've never liked nippers since I was at college. And I wanted to bring out scissors, but I'd seen lots of my students with the regular loops had found it very difficult to, master getting the fingers in, working with loops, and also cutting. Which is why then I worked with the spring handle. So it was from like the competing background and having to tailor them, and from teaching and watching students, and from the difficulties that I'd had myself as a left-handed tech, that the tool range then got developed to try and fill that gap that there was. Obviously there's loads of great tools out there, but the tools for those that found difficulties with them, and that's when the tool range was born.
And it's not an overnight jobby, is it? It takes a lot to kind of build a brand, develop a brand, especially something as important as tools as well. What kind of things did you have to consider, and how long has that process taken?
So it took, when I first saw the first tools were I think it was one of the form tailoring scissors. It's now 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 4 years ago. I don't even know what year it is right now. 4 years ago, and I think it was about 2 years of research, samples, and so much more behind the scenes to then get the right first product. And I think when your very, very first product, it's even more important that you make sure that one is right.
Yeah.
Because the bar is set from that one. If that one's not great because you've rushed it out, everybody will think, no, that brand isn't actually great, and they won't continue to buy. And that was one of the hardest things, to not just I think I got everything, and the one thing I was waiting for was boxes.
Right.
But to me, that was also a really important part of the brand, because the packaging and everything like that. And I think I had the product sat in my office for about 3 to 4 months before I could release it. So I had it there and I just couldn't release it. And it's the same with the KB Glow, which was obviously a later product. I wasn't able to do anything with it for about 6 weeks. So again, I had it,
Yeah.
but I couldn't do anything because of the patenting and the design and making sure it was right. And it's so hard not to just think, oh, I know, I just want to get it out there. I want everyone to have it now. And it's that waiting and patience, which is something I'm not good at. And that's really hard.
But that's an important point you've raised, actually, about you may have the product there, but branding in itself is something that really needs to be considered. You said you were waiting for the boxes, and you sent us some at the Scratch office, beautifully decorated boxes, and it's like when you're a beauty therapist, a nail professional, what's reflected on the outside is representative of skill, really. We always say, you know, have your nails neat and nice, because if you're doing someone else's nails, if you've got shabby looking nails, then that's not reflective of the service that you're going to give. And I think that goes into the branding itself. You've got to make sure that you could have this amazing product, but if you just package it in a, you know, a bit of tissue or some bubble wrap, it's maybe not going to represent your product in the best way that it can. So what was important to you when creating things like the logo, you know, the packaging, that kind of thing? What thought process went into that?
So I always wanted boxes, because so many tools come in those just plastic, little plastic baggies, and I wanted to remove that single-use plastic, because that literally gets taken out and bin. So I wanted to not have that kind of packaging. Then I needed to consider, because I had some experience with selling other brands' products, I know what delivery companies do to the parcels. They are so, it doesn't matter how carefully you package things, they're so rough with them. So I needed to make sure that tools, you know, because they can't get damaged, they would get from A to B safely.
Yeah.
So also then as well, from being a salon opener, I'd watch some of my girls and the way that they store the tools, and like, no wonder that they get damaged so easily, and then people tend to think they're hard to use because they're just all shoved in a drawer together and the tips are knocking against each other. So that's why I came up with a box, and a box with the foam insert, so each tool could be in its own box. So the box makes sure it gets to the customer safely, and the foam keeps it in place, and it's also then a storage place for the customer, for the tech when they're not using it.
Yeah.
And I wanted the drawer boxes because I remember like things when I've ordered makeup or jewelry, and I've had that kind of box with it, and I've always kept the box, because then I use it like as it maybe in a drawer in my makeup drawer or something to keep different parts. So again, it was then stopping the waste, so it wasn't going to be binned. If someone didn't want to store their tools in that, they could then repurpose it to use it as some kind of storage box, lint-free wipes or anything like that. And then the kind of box that I had, I looked at, so black and white, I like clean, kind of everything. I like organized, I like clean. So I wanted it to reflect my personality in that. Like, I'm not a bright, colorful person like some people are, that's their personality. I'm that nice, clean, organized. So the black and white worked great with that. And then the sort of swirly writing was, you know, getting that sort of gives a air of luxury, I found. Yeah. And but then it was trying to find one that then would work with certain letters, because when you're doing swirly writing, it doesn't always work with certain letters. It makes them look funny. So Mel was very good helping me with that, because she's great on Photoshop and things. So she was pitting like letters together and things to choose the right font. And I also then looked to things like whenever I've had like nice luxury boxes, so certain things like, you know, I even looked at my Mulberry handbag, the care cards that they put in, and like the kind of paper there was, and the boxes there were, and the ones where I got them through the letterbox, I was like, ooh, that's nice. And that's what I wanted my customers to feel.
Definitely. And even like the Tiffany box with the little ribbon on it, it makes you feel quite special. And it you know, you're kind of like, you like investing in treats like that because it creates that air of luxury as well. And I think when it comes to branding, there are so many amazing apps that people can use if they're creatively minded and they're quite good with graphics or have that kind of instilled within them. There's programs like Canva that can really help, you know, Photoshop, as you mentioned, but you can always hire people as well to create your brand image. But once you've got that brand image and you've got your products, promotion is probably the next step, isn't it? And getting that message out there. And you're incredible on social media. You won a Scratch Stars award for how good you are with your social media platforms, and you're very active. Talk us through the promotional process for your tool range, like how you got it out there and really launched it.
I think one of the good things that I did have behind me was I'd already got a presence in the industry, and from education and awards, I'd built up a reputation.
Mm.
Something that I always did with when I'd sold other brands and still do sell other brands' products. Now, to me, every brand doesn't have the best of everything. For me personally, for example, I might like one brand's acrylic, one gel polish, one's brushes. And I always only ever sold the products that I truly believed in. And I think it's the same with salon retail. You won't necessarily like everything. And I don't believe you can truly sell something if you don't believe in it or use it yourself or have used it, for example. And I think that's, you know, really important. And it's even something like, you know, when you go to a restaurant and you ask for a recommendation on a dish, or you say, oh, I'm stuck between these two, when they can then tell you what they've actually tried it, and they say, well, actually, this is this, and tell you about it because they've actually had it, rather than, oh, well, whatever.
Yeah.
It makes you believe in it more, and and I think that's, to be able to sell something that you truly believe in or have used yourself is really important. So I think that's one of the first steps. And then things have changed over the last few years with promotions. Anyway, it used to be very, you know, you've got the makeup adverts online and you've got your celebrity saying that they use it. That doesn't really sell like it used to. Real people now sell.
I think you're totally right, and I think Dove probably kicked that off a few years ago when you know, they did the kind of all like for every woman campaign, and you saw real people. I think the general public are a lot wiser now to the fact that people get paid to advertise, hence the whole reason why people have to put hashtag ad and hashtag spawn on social media posts when they're being paid to promote a brand or a product. And I think there's a lot to be said about being genuine about something, and this is why influencers and bloggers have really sort of propelled in popularity and influence, I think, over the last couple of years, because if they genuinely like a product, then they're going to do a post about it, and they're going to say that they like it. And I completely agree, you've got to have that kind of genuine face behind it to make it more credible, I think.
And that's where people now, everyone wants to see things like, so with the promotions, it's the face behind the brand and the personality behind the brand. And everybody has very different personalities. As I said, I like that clean, organized kind of thing. And there's some texts that are just like rainbow and bright, and that's when that's your brand's personality, you then reflect that in all your marketing and all your promotions. And the way you word things, it's you speak as you would, but it's being your most professional you.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily going to be you that's down the pub with your friends. You're going to have a little bit of that personality, but in your professional form. And I think, just being you, and not trying to be another brand, because there is so many brands out there of everything, and each one has their own, you know, the space for everybody. Each one has their own niche and different kind of branding, and the same with salons. Everyone has their own kind of personality, so it's important not to try and look to somebody else's as well. Whilst naturally you're going to see what your competition is, it's not comparing yourself or trying to do a post how they do it, because that's not who your following is. You've got a different kind of following because they're drawn to your personality and your brand.
Yeah, it's all about finding your niche, really, isn't it? It's like whether you're talking about your salon business as a brand, whether you're talking about your mobile business, whether you're talking about your product business, it's about finding your niche and finding what marketing works for you and how you tap into your desired audience, I guess. And reputation helps a lot with that, I think. And also, I think that there's a lot to be said for the way that you respond to an audience as well. You see a lot of these fun sort of memes online about people that have had bad reviews on their products or their restaurant or their service, and how they've responded to them can make or break a brand. So what advice would you give to people if they've received, say, negativity? How should you respond as a brand? What is your advice?
So we actually had something like this. It's the first time I'd had it, a couple of months ago, I think. There was somebody had physically taken the photo of our KB Glow, which has got a patent pending, and done their own version, and then was encouraging people to actually buy theirs and not ours. So I politely contacted her, advised her of the patents and how it was in breach, infringement and everything. And 21-year-old in Canada, and obviously she didn't like that. She mouthed off to her friends and got her friends to leave us fake Google reviews. And so, as you said, it's then how you respond to it. And a lot of people, it does upset you because your brand, it doesn't matter if it's work or not. It's you take it personally. You take everything personally. And I've seen great ones, where they do. I'm not clever enough with words to do those really clever ones that you see that go viral on social media. But it's just making sure you respond politely, and usually it's a lot of these fake ones, they haven't been to you before. So it's mentioning that in the comments, because people always say that they will look to a business's response over the actual review itself, and it's how they respond. So it's being polite, addressing the issue with sorry that you have, you felt the need to write a bad review to our services, they've not been to you. Then it's very much like, oh, we have checked our records, unfortunately we can't see you as being a customer, maybe you've got us confused with a different business, or just, please ask that you do remove this as it's not a fair reflection because you haven't even had contact with us as well. It might be that, they've had contact with you previously and they've decided, I don't want to buy from them because they're not very nice. That's a different thing. That's still a true review. And then if it is something, because you literally can't please everybody, and there will be people that there are just people that don't want to be pleased as well. So if they leave a bad review, it's then again being polite, addressing it, we're very sorry that you didn't like that, and answering, giving them the opportunity, to tell you what they want for you to fix it. So if you get them to tell you what they want as well, and that they contact you via email or give you a telephone, and you can discuss it so you can put it right. And then when people see that, they can see that you've got good customer services.
Definitely. I think I've seen this on Twitter, for example. I think when big supermarket chains, for example, put themselves on Twitter and have their own sort of customer help or section, it's the way that they start responding to it, with that politeness, that courtesy, and okay, we apologize, how can we help, went down so much better, because people were like, okay, I'm less likely to attack again because they've dealt with my situation in a satisfactory manner. There will be errors. That's human nature. That's just the nature of brands and products. And you're totally right. I think the way that you deal with things says a lot for the brand and your reputation moving forward as well. But We've had a question from Danica, who has said, how have you adapted throughout COVID-19 with your brand, and how has it helped develop new product ideas for you?
We've actually been really lucky, as have speaking with quite a lot of other brand owners as well, that our business has actually excelled on the product side, which I know a lot haven't, and it feels quite bad to be pleased that your business has done well when I know others haven't, but product sales have still been really really busy, and it has allowed the time to be able to then spend more time on the brand and growing it. And I do not feel like there's been, apart from not being able to go out, I don't feel there's been a lockdown, because I have been busier than I ever was before, which was hard. So the developing of new products, obviously there's been the time, and we obviously then did develop the new product over lockdown to sort of help with lockdown. So the KB Glow that was then able to be used in the industry during lockdown for others to then make more money and do tutorials online. So had lockdown have not happened, that product wouldn't have ever been developed, because we wouldn't have seen the need to do it.
Yeah.
So we can thank lockdown for that coming out. Definitely. And yeah, so luckily we've been it's given us the time and stuff to pip into it.
And again, you found your niche with the KB Glow. You recognised that there was a need for a product like that, because everyone was doing online tutorials and workshops, and you created. There's quite a fun story about how you and your fiance created the KB Glow, isn't there? So do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think lockdown was like on the 20th of March or whatever, and then 3 days later I had to do online seminars, and they were streamed like this is through Zoom or something, and I couldn't use my webcam. I needed to do it on my phone for some technical reason, and I was on my dining room table because I was at home in lockdown. And how did I do this overhead view with my phone, and then on a dining table, and make it look professional still? And Andy knocked me up this cardboard box and coat hanger construction, and then we lined it with white paper so my phone could sit on top, and then we had all like the desk lights in it, and it looked really great, and it worked. And then over time this cardboard box started doing this. I kept using it for tutorials and one-to-ones and things online. And then he made me a little bit more of a steady version. And then he actually paints Warhammer. So he then stole it to take photos of his stuff and use as a workstation for him. And from that, we thought, do you know what? Others could benefit from this. Other techs could, and, for painting, because he used it for painting and photos. So that's where it then started we decided to make it an actual product.
And it was such an interesting journey, and sales really took off, didn't they? It was fantastic. I love mine. You was fortunate enough to get one for you, and I absolutely love it. It's transformed photo taking. See, I'm not doing online nail workshops, not being a nail technician, but it is a really fantastic product. But with every success story, there does come some difficulty, and I think recently you had a bit of a challenge for your business, didn't you?
Yeah, so it was, and this is the thing about having a good customer base and having that relationship with your customers. So there was a customer that contacted me, private message, and sent me some screenshots of a nail group. So there was a nail tech that was a new nail tech. She was really excited that she'd found herself a bargain Katie Barnes tool on eBay. Now, when my customer sent it to me initially, I just thought, someone just doesn't like it. They're selling a secondhand one, which is, yeah, fine, not a problem, And then I looked, and it's amount 10 for sale or something. Thought, no, hang on, that's not right. And then I looked a bit further, and there were 3 sellers on eBay selling, and they had like 20 different listings each. with slightly different pictures. Ones were my exact website pictures, and my exact website wording. Others were photos they'd taken, but the actual product itself had my logo on it, the Katie Barnes logo, and the product looked identical. And they were like £2.99, which is more than I pay cost price. It's, you know, and suddenly I'm panicking, thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I luckily, because of the patent, I now have an IP attorney. It sounds very grown up, doesn't it? An IP attorney. So I rang him, what do I do? And I contacted eBay, who, as you can imagine, are quite useless.
Probably get this all the time.
Waiting quite a long time. I contacted the seller. The seller was the same person, which we had suspected, to let them know that, you know, I'm Katie Barnes, owner of Katie Barnes brand, and, you know, your infringement, please do remove these, please stop using the photo, because the photo is owned by my photographer, because they were the professional photos. Then was another copyright issue. And they actually responded to me saying that they were Katie Barnes.
I mean,
when mine, so I was like, no, I'm Katie Barnes. And it then ended up with solicitors, and my solicitor had to take action, which costs a lot of money as well. But I would have had absolutely no leg to stand on as the brand owner of Katie Barnes had I have not got my own name trademarked. Which at the time I sort of never thought. I protected my own name, and I never thought that would ever be an issue. Maybe a design of something, or, you know, the way something looked, but never, well, no one's going to ever, you know, call themselves Katie Barnes Tools, because, you know, there is a Katie Barnes tool. And it's going to be very rare that there's another nail tech called Katie Barnes that wants to do their own tools. Well, I'm so wrong. And I hadn't, and I'm so lucky that I had actually done that, because I would have zero case or protection from that, and they'd have been actually allowed to sell those with my name on, had I have not trademarked it.
It's awful, isn't it? I think we had Teresa Foddering from the Nail Dresser. She wrote a column in our April edition of the magazine, if anyone wants to check that out, on why she trademarked her business name as well, for very similar reasons, because it wasn't an intentional one, but a copycat business, and it does affect your reputation, it affects your business as a whole, it affects your sales as well. And it's just I mean, I think we all know, never buy professional nail products off of eBay anyway, because you have no guarantees. So hopefully people didn't buy what seemed to be counterfeit products from that seller. But what's the situation now as it stands?
So the situation now is that my solicitor got involved. It's legal proceedings against the company, and they have stopped so far. But now I've got to be really, really.
Well, I'm not sure if we've lost Katie.
Just eBay, so they have stopped. They have removed the listings. But that, of course, has cost me a lot of money as well. And something I would actually say to anyone with a brand, however little you maybe think your brand is, you don't know where that's going to go, and you have to protect yourself from the beginning. IP is an absolute minefield, and I would actually recommend to anybody starting off, get yourself a solicitor to do it for you. The IPO admin staff in the office, they read from a script. They don't know IP. And I remember when I very first did it, I followed their advice, and it wasn't actually correct, and I wasn't protected as I thought I was. It was only then working with the IP solicitor on patents, and he just went through all of my stuff And he then said, you need to do this, 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 this. And because there were grey areas missing on things, which is where if somebody else that wants to copy your brand knows about, then they can use those grey areas. So whilst it is a little bit more expensive, you know you're 100% fully protected and everything that you need covered is covered. So I would always recommend, getting that solicitor to do it rather than yourself.
Yeah, and trademarking in itself, from what I've learned from Teresa Foddering's column, it's not overly expensive. It's a couple of £100 potentially to actually trademark a name if it is the first of its kind. So definitely worth looking into for anyone that's created a brand throughout lockdown, whether that is your salon or your nail business. We're not just talking product here. It's important to maybe consider that or look into it. To protect yourself moving forward, I guess. But thank you so much, Katie, for taking the time to chat to us today. Have you got any kind of final words of wisdom or advice to anyone that is kind of has launched their brand throughout lockdown?
No, just good luck and well done for creating your brand, and I wish you every success with it. And as well, just one of the things as well is I'm obviously a tool range. There's many tool ranges out there. There's many brands that sell tool ranges, and I get on with all like the other brands. We've chatted personally, and again they get on, with each other. And I think don't fear your competition. Actually, just drop them a little message and say hey, and it's nice to meet you, and then you don't have to fear that, oh, what if somebody doesn't like that? And so just actually the same with salons and nail techs on Facebook, we all get on. Obviously, of course, there's your others that don't, but in general most people are really friendly. So just message your competitor and make a good relationship with them, because you can work together. There might be gaps in yours, there might be gaps in theirs, and work together with everybody. Don't fear your competition.
And I think it's important to be aware of competition, because if you didn't have it, I mean, that's why we have competition, is because not one thing works for everyone. If it did, we'd all be driving the same car, we'd all be eating the same food, we'd all be dressing the same, and we don't, because we have different preferences and different needs. And I think don't be scared of competition. Diversity is a great thing, and choice. We're lucky to have so much choice in this industry as well, so that's wonderful to see. So anyone that's been watching today, you can head to Katie's website, katiebarnesacademy.com, and make sure you follow her on socials as well, Katie Barnes Tool Range, because she's very active and she's very proactive.
Well, active today though, I've done a takeover, so Erin is taking over, so I have to keep it. I'm like, no, I'm not going on Instagram today, I'm not doing anything. It's weird.
Oh, it's the lack of control, isn't it? It's kind of giving that to somebody else. But it's nice to keep things different and keep things going. But thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to watching the Katie Barnes Tool Range journey and the brand progress.
Thank you.
Wicked. Take care. Bye.
Bye.